talking with Dusty Pierpoint, who is running as a state representative for the 22nd District. Welcome to the program, Dusty.
Good afternoon.
What territory does the 22nd District comprise of?
Well, the 22nd pretty much encompasses all three cities, Lacey, Olympia, and Tumwater. And then it does go north from those cities a little bit toward the water. Mostly it's the three city limits.
How has the campaigning been going?
I'm very new to running for office. This is my first time, and I don't have a huge campaign as far as volunteers, but I'm having some people reaching out and wanting to help, which will be good as we get into the next month. When I got into the race, I didn't really get into the race to compete with anybody. I got into the race because I felt like I had some ideas. But as we've gone through the primary and it's down to myself and my opponent, we do differ on some things. For instance, I'm really not positive on new taxes, whereas she is proposing some new taxes like income tax or capital gains tax. We differ a little bit when it comes to police. I know the city of Olympia got rid of their school resource officer program. I personally feel that's one of the best programs in law enforcement for community-oriented policing. And then as far as homelessness, which is a big issue and something that I've been talking about since I began, there's discussion on my opponent's side about building tiny house villages and tent cities. And I'm more in the camp of holding people accountable for their actions, but instead of jail being their only option, treatment is there, similar to the therapeutic court model.
As you know, in the previous budget cycle, the state legislature had a $2.8 billion surplus when they began working on the budget. They not only spent all of that money, when I say they, I mean the Democratic majority, they also increased taxes by almost $1 billion. And now that coronavirus has happened, our state budget is looking at a more than $8 billion shortfall. As a state representative, would you advocate or would you stand up for the people in not raising their taxes in the midst of all of the hardship that has to do with COVID-19?
With everything going on right now, I can't imagine going to the taxpayers and saying, we are going to raise your taxes. I was very fortunate to work at the city of Lacey, and two city managers I worked for were very tight budgeters. The one thing that I really learned from them is even when times are good, you put money in the reserves and you prepare for when times are not going to be good, because that's the type of cycle budgets go through. And I will tell you, during the recession in 2008, the city of Lacey was able to get through that without having to lay people off because they had a good reserve and they hadn't overspent. And I feel like at the state level, maybe there could be a little more attention paid to when there's a $2.8 billion surplus that we think about some reserves.
You mentioned some priorities, and one of those, obviously across our region and across the state, is providing for the homeless. A lot of people out there that are not in housing right now. What would some of your top solutions be as a state representative to help resolve those issues?
Homelessness is a very difficult topic because there's no one solution. There's several different silos of reasons why people are homeless. And it could be that they've lost their job, they've lost their home, they're no longer able to live in, and that's the reason they become homeless. To me, those are the ones that are probably the easiest to help find housing, to try to supplement their income, to get them off the street. Mental illness and drug addiction is the next level. Those are the ones that we typically need to get into programs. They're not going to voluntarily go into those programs. And so we have to hold them accountable and get them into those programs so that they can get well. They can get on their medication. They can get off the drugs. They can then get a job and actually function. It's not compassionate to just allow them to live in more tents and build on to tent cities. And that's what's happening right now. And that to me is not compassionate. Compassion is finding out a way to get them well and get them out of those tents back to a normal life.
Dusty, if people out there would like to support your campaign, could you share with them how they can do that?
I have a website, electdusty.com, and there is a donate button on there that they can electronically donate if they wish. We're hopefully going to have a couple of fundraisers coming up in the next 2 to 3 weeks, so keep an eye open for dates and times on that.